And there we go. There's the intro done again. It never gets old, does it?
No, it does not.
It's all good fun.
I always like the original, though, to be honest.
The original, what, me just singing it?
Yeah.
And then taking ages to go, where was that bloody song from? I can't remember. Right, so we're just waiting for our other guests to join us, for them to come on. Having connection issues with the Wi-Fi. That's what the email I've just got. Bless her. So that's Nell from the Cardiff Youth Service. I spoke to her last week. So yeah, we've got a little guest on, mainly so we can talk about something that was suggested last week in the chat about the voting age by Nell herself. But before we go on to that, how is everybody?
Yeah, I'm doing all right, thank you.
Don't talk all at once.
I know, crazy.
Hello, Richard. So if you are watching, please come say hello. I can show it up. Yo, Richard. Richard's just been following me around today. Right, so Parker, how are you today?
I am good. I am tired because I've had a long day, but I've been looking forward to this.
Parker, you froze there.
No,
Have I?
Yes, you froze there.
It's fine here.
You'll have to repeat that again. Yeah, but it doesn't matter whether it's all good for you two. It's important for me because we're doing the streaming.
Yeah.
So Parker, say that again. How are you?
I am good. I am tired, but I have been looking forward to this.
Excellent. And Owen, whose face is frozen because he refuses to use Wi-Fi, he's using 4G instead. How are you?
I'm doing all right since I've moved back to my Wi-Fi.
Okay. You're still frozen on the screen, so what you might have to do is drop out of the stream and come back in.
What?
Well, yeah, because your face is frozen. You have to reset it.
Is it a funny face?
As I've said, that doesn't matter because I'm the one streaming. So, and hello, Nell.
Hello. Sorry about that, guys.
It's all right.
Hello, Nell.
No worries. Right, so welcome to everybody here. We've got a few watchers. It was fine on the stream, Richard. Okay, if it was fine on the stream, that's fine. It's just me. I can't see. So Nell, to this way, I've got Parker from Free2talk, and down there is Owen, our little young leader, youth correspondent. Everybody, this is Nell. Everybody say hi, Nell.
Hello, Nell.
Hi, now.
Hi, Nell. Right, Chris, thank you for coming onto the chat. How do I? I might as well show it. It's a mate of mine. Tech question: how do I turn off push notifications? Because this ball guy keeps coming up in my notifications. Well, you'll just have to unfriend me because I will keep going. And hello, Lewis. So Nell, welcome to the stream. Tell us what you do and where you come from.
Well, so I'm from Cardiff. I'm part of a service called Cardiff Youth Service, and we work with 11 to 25-year-olds across a massive range of different activities, sessions, youth mentoring, gaming. We've got a media crew. We've got young creators. We do a lot of things, really. Youth clubs at the moment, youth clubs aren't open because of lockdown and COVID and everything. So I'm part of a street-based team, and we go out and basically engage with young people, keeping them safe, making sure they're okay if they need anything, any advice, any support. We just do that. I'm also part of I lead a gaming group. At the moment, we're playing Among Us. I'm not sure if I'm sure everyone's heard of that game.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. If there's any questions, ask away. I'm not very good at selling myself, so yeah, I'm Nell.
You've sold yourself. You've done great, and it just brings in because we're doing this collaboration on our channel. I mean, hopefully, in the future, any other youth workers that want to come on and introduce themselves. But if you play Among Us, Cardiff versus Northampton. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
However,
I will scream. It freaks me out. I just can't. I mean, I know what's going to happen. I know that someone's the imposter, but I still believe everyone's the imposter, and I run away. And then the one time I was an imposter, we were live streaming, and someone basically stream killed me because they knew exactly who I was, and even before the game had started, went, he's the imposter. I was like, how do you know? How do you know? Oh, you're watching the stream. You're cheating. Oh well.
That's the problem I had when I was when I first started the gaming club, because I was doing live streams through YouTube, and the young people were like, "Yes, Nell," and I was like, "How do you guys know? This isn't fair." And yeah, just because they were watching my stream, so I was like, "Right, we have to do closed sessions now. This isn't fair."
Yeah.
So
that's what I realised pretty soon. But they still kept voting for me. If I'm honest, it's just the way it is.
Yeah. Hey! I voted you once for the fun of it. I voted you twice because I thought it was genuinely you.
Yeah. And then the third, fourth, fifth times just because he could.
No, that was Richard.
And this is where, as a youth, where I go, why I order you damn young people. I would have got away with it if it wasn't those pesky
The funny thing
kids.
the funny thing is about playing Among Us is I get to finally lie to James.
Yeah, I just find that the worst part. I mean, the young people lying to a youth worker. I mean, where's the trust gone, guys? Where's the trust gone? Anyway, so we've invited Nell on because we had a conversation about your gaming group last week, and I mentioned that we do this as well. And you joined in the chat last week and brought up the voting age in Wales. The voting age for young people being 16, and you believing that to be amazing and great. So, I mean, I think everyone really does think it's an amazing and great. But I think it's just brought up. We can have an extended conversation about voting age, because obviously the voting age in the majority of countries is 18. Like the only other country I know where it's got a voting age of 16 is Austria, I think. But most European countries are 18. Most countries around the world are 18. So now, why is having the voting age of 16 so good?
Well, I think back in 2015, I was in college, and I was involved. It was when I think it was a referendum for like leaving or staying. If I remember correctly, it was coming up and we were preparing for it. And I was only 17 at the time. Or maybe I was turning 17. So I wasn't massively aware of, I don't know how to word it. I didn't have a lot of political knowledge back then, but I was sort of learning, because it was it was going to make a massive impact on like us as young people and just the UK and everything in general. It was going to make a massive impact. Even now it's sort of not everything's in place. I was getting to sort of researching around different political parties and how and why we vote and stuff like that, and history of voting and stuff like that. So I was like, right, I'm going to get really into this, and we did a little campaign. We sort of had to team up and come up with our own sort of political agendas, name our parties and stuff. And in the end, my tutor was like, right, you're really into this. They're holding sort of like a campaign / mini referendum for young people in the Senedd, which, if you don't know, that's a Welsh Government building down Cardiff Bay. So a group of us went down, and there were young people from all across Wales. And this campaign was basically to young people to sort of say, we want to vote, this is our future, we want to say in it, because it's important. If young people can do certain things, personally I believe they should be allowed to vote in their future. It could, some people can argue, well, it's dangerous to allow young people to vote if they're not politically aware, but also I've known plenty of adults who don't know a lot. Sorry,
Nell. Could I just interrupt for a second? Sorry, I think your microphone is rubbing against your top.
Okay.
So we're getting some static feedback. It's fine. Just interrupt. So, hello, Emma. So, carry on. That was back in 2015, and I was sort of for that. I was like, right, I want to vote. I know pretty much enough to be able to vote, and I also there were a panel actually of the 4 political parties in Wales. So there was Plaid Cymru, there was Labour, there was the Conservative Party, and I can't remember the 4th, but they had sort of one representative
from each party who were answering questions.
Yeah.
And one of my questions was, do you think that young people should learn about politics in school? And they were all like, some of them were like, yeah, some of them were like, no. And I was like, right, okay, personally, I think we should, because if we're going to be going to vote when we're adults, we should know enough about it to be able to vote correctly, or we need to be able to, if we're going to impact our future, we need to do it properly and with knowledge. So actually, it was only, I think it was last year, they changed that voting age, and that's 5 years on. So it was sort of, for me, being a part of that, to find out the 16-year-olds are allowed to vote, it was just sort of, it was really nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, with the young people you've worked with or you've grown up in the last few years, has it increased how many people vote? Are more young people politically active?
I think with the last referendum, but that was a national one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think over the years, I have seen the amount of young people drastically get involved with politics, especially because of, influences in the media, music industry. So I think that has influenced the amount of young people who are sort of doing their own research or, becoming more politically aware, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it sounds great. It sounds awesome. So, but what do the rest of the team think? Parker, what do you think about the 16 being the voting age? Should that be for the rest of the UK as well?
I think it should. It's like Nell said, it would only be in a couple of years' time that, that they'd have to start voting anyway. So,
they don't have to. They don't have to.
No, they don't have to. But
we're not in Australia where you have to vote.
But it's also like it gives young people a voice in how they want the country run, and I think that's also important, giving young people a chance to put their voice across in a way.
Yeah. Okay. Owen, you're a young person. You're younger than all of us.
Yes.
Well, everyone's younger than me. You're all young people to me. But,
yeah. I think it's probably a good idea to have young people at the age of 16 eligible to vote, because at the age of 16 you are classified as a young adult, and 18 you're still technically speaking a young adult. It's not until you're about 21 when you're officially a proper adult. I think that 1 year in secondary school where you can ask teachers about different things might be a more beneficial, suitable idea for young people for when they start thinking about voting. Because I will happily admit, I have no idea what I was doing when I first voted. I had literally no political knowledge at all. I merely just went, like I said last week, I merely just went just for the experience.
Yeah.
So I think if I had a bit more of a general knowledge learning it in school, I might have a bit more of a knowledge. Obviously, I would probably have to search a little bit more for it, of what I personally think is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But if I had the extra knowledge in secondary school of learning it and then doing it at the age of 16, I think it would be a massive beneficial thing, because voting is, other than other educational standards, voting is something that everyone else does.
Yeah.
Because we all do different jobs, but where do all those original jobs come from? Education. And then everyone also has the ability to either choose to vote or not to vote. So like education, I feel that voting needs to be taught a little bit more about, so that you know a bit more what you are doing, because you have the full right to do that.
Yeah. I'm just going to bring up a comment. It's my mate Loz. So rather than age concern over voting, what if schools taught politics, the children were better armed, and they proposed only vote if you have a job. I mean, yeah. Do you know what? We were kind of discussing that a little bit, but I need to put a disclaimer, right? Because I didn't put a disclaimer in. I'm going to be a little bit argumentative about some of these things. So now you're saying young people should be allowed to vote at 16, yeah, but they're not allowed to drive until they're 17. They're not allowed to buy alcohol till they're 18. You know, I mean, what about those? Should we change everything? Just make everything the same age?
I mean, no, I get where you're coming from, because these are the sort of arguments that came up when we had these debates. And one of the other sort of things that came up was, if young people are sort of allowed to join military training at 16, why are they not allowed to sort of vote in what happens with the military? So
can I just point out, I still think it's crazy that you can join the military at 16 and shoot a gun before you're allowed to drive. I just think it's mad. But carry on.
There were loads of issues that came up that young people are allowed to do at the age of 16, but they're not allowed to vote in their future. And actually, if you look at the UNCRC, one of the rights of young people is to have a say and have a voice. So like Parker said, I completely agree that young people should have a voice in their future. And that's one thing that I'm passionate about. You know, that's one thing that I hold really dear to me, is allowing young people to have a voice. And I sort of agree with what Lawrence is saying, in the sense that people should have an education, and if they can prove that they have enough knowledge to be able to vote, because like I said, some adults are voting, they use their vote, and there's just sometimes a wasted vote. I'm sort of going to use that term loosely. But I don't sort of agree with the sense of some people, you know, people should have a job if they vote, because, you know, I'm not sure if people are aware, but it's really hard to get a job.
How many people have got a job right now?
Exactly.
You know, so
I lost my job before this virus attacked.
You did, didn't you? You did. Terrible. I mean, I think so. I mean, this thing. I mean, Lawrence did bring up the education point. We've generally between us brought up the education point and being politically active. But if you don't give young people at least an inkling of what this stuff means, then I think a wasted vote is exactly correct, because they won't vote. If they don't vote, that is a wasted vote technically. You know, it doesn't go anywhere. And I've had the argument with a friend of mine, I think I mentioned it last week, where he's just never voted because he doesn't believe in any of the parties, and he often gets tarred with you're right wing because of your attitudes. And I'm like, you're not right wing, you're not left wing, you're just an anarchist. You just don't like anybody. You know, it's just what it is. Just accept it. But that is the thing. Political engagement with anybody is difficult because nobody's ever been educated for it properly, unless they come from a background of real privilege, really. So the people getting educated with politics are your Etonians, your grammar schools, you're already privileged. It's the whole underclass, the young people we work with, that are not being given anything they need to actually use it. Yeah. Do we kind of agree with that? I was trying to. I started off a bit argumentative, and they went, "No, I agree." I mean, it's really difficult. It's really, really difficult.
It is.
Oh, sorry, Lars. I've just seen a few of your things just about the army age, but I'll probably bring that up in a second. So Parker. I just wanted to say your name over and over again because I like it. So, how do you think is the best way to politically engage young people? Just education in schools, or is there other ways we can do it?
I think maybe I don't know. Education is very important because I mean, I'm only 21. You know, I don't know a lot about politics at all. You know, I've only really started following it since coronavirus became a thing. And I think it's kind of bad I don't know anything about it because I can't make an informed choice to go and vote. Yeah, if I was educated, then, you know, I'd have a better understanding. But I also think actually going to places like London, where where the government is like based and stuff, would also be a good opportunity for young people to see sort of where it all happens. And see the physical side of it, rather than sitting behind a desk and hearing somebody blabber on about what this party is doing or what that party is doing or what the government's doing now or what it used to do or how it's changed. Because it can seem quite boring. So I think for me personally, physically seeing it would actually be like oh wow, okay, this is a really big thing, rather than just seeing it on the TV.
So James, everyone say hello, James. None of you from Free2talk really remember him, but he used to work with Free2talk. So he said, this is why youth work is so important. Young people need to be educated about politics to make an informed choice. I'm not sure school is the right place for this. I mean, I think he's got a thing for that. I mean, Owen, so as a young person that's come to our youth clubs, do you think bringing up elements of politics would work in youth clubs? Like, I mean, but think about the youth club you attended as well. I think I should add that.
That's what I'm thinking. The youth club that I attended, which is the one I'm with James, more accurately, it was more of a safe haven to just explore, just meet friends, and maybe learn a little bit about like kitchen stuff. And
from the chef.
Yeah, from the chef. Yeah, from the chef. Like there was a little table with like a chess set and drawing stuff, and sometimes youth workers came over just to speak to you for a little bit, just see how you are. It wasn't really not a safe place, but not exactly the right environment to talk about anything properly political.
Right. Okay.
Like, for instance, that little place that I went for that meeting with you, James.
Yeah.
That's a more environmentally more safe place to talk about politics. It seems a bit more grown up about it, because I have to admit, politics is very grown up and very complicated.
No, it's not. You just put something on the side of a bus.
No, but knowing the location of the youth club, that Lodge Farm Youth Club, it just wasn't. It was more of just like a loud environment than the little office that we spoke in. A loud environment talking about politics is a little bit complicated to get everything you want in.
I'm just going to point. Damn, I miss James. Richard, you've spoken to me twice today. He means the other James. So I mean, what we were doing, because Nell doesn't really know. We are age groups like 8 to 11 and 12 plus. But what we did before the lockdown is I started having a conversation with a lot of the older ones. They actually wanted a 16 plus youth group, which normally we had reserved for young leaders, effectively, or young leader meetings, just because that's what the age. It happened a few years ago. People were interested, but then we started getting younger young leaders, young, saying that a lot. But having that extra space for the 16 plus, where you can actually ask honest questions about politics, philosophy, religion, anything you like. I think there is definitely a place for that. For all youth groups and youth associations. What do you reckon, Parker?
Well, I think, we expect young people to finish school, go to a sixth form or college, and then go out and get a job.
Get out that chimney!
And it's like, we don't prepare them with the right skills. Well, not we do, but like in general, they're not prepared with the right skills to go out, get a job, get their own place, do taxes. Because I'm still completely new to it all. I've got my own place in Northampton. I have to pay rent, I have to pay bills, and it's all still new to me. I'm still phoning my mum and going, how do I do this? I'm so confused. I have no idea what I'm doing. And it's like, I probably will still be doing that in a good couple years' time. And it's like,
I'm well old, and I still do that. Yeah, do you know what? If I live close to my mum, do you know what? Sometimes I still take my washing round. I would if I could, because it'd be funny.
I bring my washing when I come home to visit. I still bring my washing home.
But you're a student. That's kind of what you do as a student. You know?
I find as well. It's like you can do your own washing, but when your mum or your family members do it for you, it's something different. Like it smells like home. It smells like home.
Yeah.
Almost fell back.
That would have been a funny shot.
Or like when your mum makes you dinner, you know, or Sunday roast, stuff like that. And
it just hits different. It just hits different.
Yeah, I like it. It is good. Sorry, now you've frozen on my screen. I don't know if are you moving for anybody else? Is Nell frozen on everyone else's screen? Is it just me?
She's frozen for me.
Yeah, she's frozen on my screen.
Okay, just checking. Nell, you might have to drop out the stream and come back in. It might fix it. I don't know. You could test it if you like. So empowering young people, educating them about politics, we kind of all see as being important. How are we going to do that? Possibly not school, through youth groups if they're interested. But Australia, right? So Australia, it's a legal requirement that you have to vote. How do we feel about that?
Well, it's like we said, if you don't have the right knowledge to make an informed choice, is it a wasted vote?
Well, so what they do in Australia, from my knowledge, is it's a compulsory for you to enrol when you're eligible. You have to enrol.
Sorry, but I think my Wi-Fi's going down again.
Oh no! Turn it off and on again. That's my IT knowledge. I mean, if you want to drop out the stream and turn it off and on again, you can just rejoin using the same link if you want. If you want to give that a go. I don't know if you heard that, or you can just stay frozen but still talk to us. It's up to you. Technology, isn't it wonderful? I don't know if there's a delay between me talking and you hearing. There might be. So it's under federal law. It's compulsory for all eligible Australian citizens to enrol and vote in federal elections. Okay, but how it works is you can still, like, when you go to vote, you don't have to actually vote for the candidates. From my knowledge, you can what's called spoil your vote. So you basically say, I don't like any of them. They're all terrible. I hate politics. Off you trot. You can say that. Now. But it still gets people having to go and do it, so they can still be counted. Because, like, at the moment, I mean, the highest voter turnout we've had in recent years were like 70% of the electorate for the UK, which still means there's 25% of people who are eligible to vote, which is say 50 million people, as a guess. Welcome back. Oh, you moved!
Yeah. My luck. My Wi-Fi's been fine all week, and then just like when I really need it the most, I got to connect to my hotspot. So
always happens. So say there's like 50 million people in the UK who are eligible to vote, right? And 25% of them don't vote. That's still like 7.5 million people that haven't are not engaged. First off, haven't had a say, and it's like, well, I mean, there is an argument. It's like, well, you haven't voted, you don't get an opinion, but they should have an opinion, and that opinion should be, I don't agree with anything any of these political parties say, but what they're afraid of is if people do that and go, "Well, spoil the vote," it means we'll just have like a hung parliament every few years with no single party in control. There'll just be all these empty seats, and you just have to get these, like they're doing in football stadiums because of COVID, like cardboard cutouts with just big question marks on them going, that's our MP. So yeah, what do you reckon? Should compulsory voting be looked at for this country?
No, personally, I don't think so. Because I'm assuming what you've said is that in that case people will refuse to vote. Because I dropped out. But I feel like if you force people to vote, they can either make a very ill-informed vote, or people are going to get really angry. So I feel like we shouldn't force people to vote. So does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does. It does. It does indeed. I mean, because obviously in Australia, I've got to explain this. Like, if you don't vote, you get fined, basically, because that's the only way they can police it. So you get fined 80 American dollaroos, as it were. Dollaroos, yeah.
Is that what you call dollars then? Just dollaroos?
That's what I call them.
So when you go...
You flaming galah?
I'm sorry, guys. I'm just thinking about James moving into the United States just for a holiday. Some cashier.
United States? I'm talking about Australia.
But you're saying it as dollaroos.
Dollaroos? Because there's kangaroos in Australia?
Yeah.
Did that go straight over your head, Owen? Bless you.
No, because I thought you were calling them dollars as well. Because
no, they're called American dollars. Money is American dollars. So we've had another suggestion from Richard: dingo dollars. So we can have dingo dollars or dollaroos. There you go. That's my Australian accent for you there. So yeah, you get fined. So you don't think it should be enforced then now? No compulsory voting. I think she might have gone again. Parker, should voting be compulsory in this country?
No, I don't think it should. You know, like I said, they're not. Are they being given the right information to make an informed choice?
Are they being given the right information to make an informed choice now? I would argue no.
No, they're not.
Owen, go out and vote tomorrow, or else. What would you say to that?
If you put it as like or else, I would argue against it, saying, well, I don't really feel like doing what you say because it's my freedom of speech to say if I want this or not.
Look, this is a dictatorship. I'm telling you, you have to go vote for me in a democracy.
I'm sorry, but I don't think I live in Russia.
No, Prime Minister James. Here we go. James for Prime Minister. Okay. So you talk about like compulsory votes and stuff. Now, I want to bring up. So we talk about when you should be allowed to vote, but should people at a certain age be not allowed to vote? Now, I bring this up because my elderly grandmother, bless her, who's 93, is very, very senile. Okay. She's still kind of coping just about, but my parents still had to enroll her as a voter, even though there's no way, shape or form she is mentally capable of making an informed decision. So should we ever take the vote away from anybody for age?
I don't think it should be you take away someone's vote when they reach a certain age. I think it's like you said, are they mentally capable to make that decision? You know, if someone's detained under the Mental Health Act, they're not allowed to make a decision. They can have the rights taken away from them to make a decision about their treatment, about their care, about their medication, sort of thing. Yeah, are we allowing them to go out and vote for something that could change how the UK is run?
So what about if you write something on the side of a bus? Should people who believe that be able to vote? So it's a difficult one. So because the thing is, you can either have democracy for all or you don't. This is the biggest difficulty about it, I find. So what you've had, especially Brexit, is the parties who kind of they appealed to the older generations first, mainly, and it's the same in any election. They appeal to the older generations first. Don't care about the youth vote because young people don't vote. So you got all these people who are retired over 65 who are deciding the country's future, when in all honesty, that future, some of them won't see it. So is that fair? It's a difficult question.
That is difficult. Because you
Owen,
could argue,
is that fair? Is that fair?
It's a difficult question because because the question has been asked about a few times over the Brexit period, hasn't it? And especially at the very beginning of when the vote was first casted about should we leave the EU or not. It was very, very fresh then. I feel that if you're because of age and obviously illnesses and everything that can affect your knowledge and know-how, especially in older years, I do feel that you should, and this might be just me just overthinking it maybe, but having to be tested of your mental capability before or not to have the vote taken away from you.
See, this is why I love you, Owen. You're so diplomatic in the way you explain it. It's like, I just want to add this as well. James has said, who or what judges someone as unable to make an informed decision? It may set a dangerous precedent. Well, do you know what? You're right, James, because nobody likes experts. And he's also said, loving the show, by the way, which is great. Yay! We love it too. Now, what do you think? What do you reckon?
I've never really thought about it. I sort of agree with quite a few of the points that you're all making because, like Parker said, you know, if people's right to being taken away for certain things, why are we allowing them to vote as well if they're unable to make those decisions for other things in their lives? Yeah. But I also agree with what James has said, and who are we to take away their right to vote? But I also understand it's sort of hard because I'm sort of arguing with myself in my head. Like you're all making such really like good and valid points, because do we take that right away? Who are we to take that right away? But also if they're making decisions that are going to affect our lives in the future and they're not going to be here to see those impacts or changes, and are they making those decisions based on views that they had 30 or 40 years ago when the UK was completely different back then? It's a really hard argument, and
it's not like it was in my day.
Yeah, it's a really hard one to sort of to have an opinion on, I guess. Yeah, I don't really know how to sort of feel about older people voting.
I'm just putting forward some difficult questions to get people thinking, I think.
You're doing that quite a bit today.
Yeah, didn't it? I mean, to be honest, I am the oldest here, so my vote will be taken away earlier. So, you know, doesn't matter to me.
Government, make it happen.
No! James, the Prime Minister. That's what we're going on. I like it. Okay, so just think age is just too arbitrary a decision, do we? To kind of take a vote away.
Technically speaking, everyone has the right for voting. No one has the capability to take away that right, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, is there anything else we think needs to be discussed around voting in and around the UK? Anything you want to add?
I have a question for you all, because obviously I'm in Wales, so our voting system has changed. But would you prefer it if young people were allowed to vote in England as well?
You can start this, James.
Oh, okay. I mean, do you know what? I don't think currently, based on our education system, funding for youth services, especially, that's the most important, I don't think it would make a difference at all. Because if you don't put that funding in place through youth services, like us being youth workers, for example, or supporting young people in different ways outside of a normal education setting, how they won't care. They've got enough stuff to deal with, like, you know, especially since, like, especially in Northampton, we work with young people who are living in a lot of poverty. I mean, the last thing they're concerned with is voting, really.
Yeah.
So unless you improve generally the comfortableness of and get rid of child poverty, I don't think it'll make a difference. But that's me being slightly positive and negative at the same time. So, but I think if you get rid of child poverty and we move to as much an equally educated population as possible, yeah, why not?
Cool.
I think that, you know, I agree with what James is saying 100%. But also in the same respect, if we made it so the legal voting age was 16, would that then open up opportunities for young people to go away and research it and be able to make that informed choice, and sort of almost encourage them in a way, and maybe encourage schools to add that to their curriculum, instead of saying, you know, we need this put in place, we'll let in 16 plus vote, open up those chances to be able to do that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
Owen.
Yeah, I would happily agree with what Parker said, to be honest. But I also just want to point out the fact that I think a lot of people would just I wouldn't say take it for granted, but more of like, I'm 16, I've got the choice to, but I've got my GCSEs. I don't want an added extra decency to think about it.
I need to finish this TikTok.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. No, but in all seriousness, I do think it would be a good idea, but with what James has mentioned, definitely something to be considered in a later date, I think.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Wicked. Right, cool. Well, that's a nice long conversation about voting. I've got some leaving thoughts I'd like to leave you all with. I think the voting should be changed, so only toddlers are allowed to vote. You're only allowed to vote just as you start talking. So for a few years, that's it. They make all the decisions for the country, because then we'll just get loads of ice cream and life will be.
James, have you been?
Sorry,
James,
go on.
Yes, all right. James, have you been watching Boss Baby anytime soon?
No, I've never seen it.
Because that's exactly what you're pretty much trying to say. The Boss Babies.
I just think it will be hilarious to have my little nephew deciding the future of this country.
Oh yeah.
See you later, Boris. Anyway.
We also know as well that the toddlers would be like, okay, this man looks a lot like us, no hair. We're going to vote him to be the Prime Minister of the UK. And
I never even thought of it that way. James the Prime Minister.
James the Prime Minister. He's got all the toddlers backing him up.
I mean, to be honest, I am quite good with my nephew. So he's like putty in my hands. But that's because I'm the naughty uncle. That's how it works. Yes. Actually, let's just make my nephew Prime Minister. Just make him decide everything. It'll be very loud and full of dinosaurs, because he loves dinosaurs. Right. So we did have a couple of other things to touch on. Oh, Nell's disappeared again. So we were talking about earlier, well, myself, Parker, and Owen, about the government talking about this £500. What do people know about this £500? Nell, go.
I haven't actually seen it dropping again, but I saw something earlier about someone. It was just a Facebook status someone posted about being fined for going outside, but also getting money for staying in if they're isolating. So I don't actually know a lot about it. So if you could tell me a bit more, then that would be great.
Don't worry. I don't know much about this.
So yeah, so
But-
Owen's comment about this earlier in our little kind of Free to Talk TV chat, I was like, Owen, you've been reading the Daily Mail. That was my reaction. Because right, okay, so what's being put into place is the idea, it's been thrown around that if you test positive for COVID, right, they will give you 500. The government, central government, will give you £500 to stay home and isolate. So immediately, like within seconds, the right-wing press were like, anybody can go out and they'll get coronavirus on purpose and they get free money. That's exactly what. And they're like, all these people on benefit, they'll go out and get free money, more free money. That's my impression of Stuart Lee. If you don't know who he is, he's very funny. And this, to be honest, a little bit of that came from you, Owen. It's like, well, I don't think it's a good idea. People just go out and get coronavirus on purpose.
Okay.
But the actual idea behind this is if you are on minimum wage, but also technically a key worker, youth workers are key workers. I know a lot of volunteers or part-timers are on minimum wage. So if you get coronavirus, you can safely take that time off to make sure you do not have coronavirus when you come back to work. That is the intention. Because I don't know if anybody knows how much statutory sick pay is. Anyone?
It's £93 a week.
Yeah, £93 a week. Now, if you work a 37.5-hour week on minimum wage, you would earn £307. So statutory sick pay is a third of minimum wage, which is classed as the least amount of money you need to live. So this is why they're putting that forward as £500. That's my understanding at the moment. But obviously, the right wing and other people are like, they're taking free money. So Parker, what do you think about these people taking free money?
Well, me and my family were talking about it earlier, and my dad said that he's seen somewhere, he can't remember where, but he's seen somewhere that it also will encourage, because people are walking around with coronavirus with symptoms and not going to get tested. It will encourage people to go and get tested so then they can get the money.
Yeah.
But also it's like, is there any criteria you have to meet to have it? Because I know that I think it was £500 for those who are self-isolating. You had to be on certain benefits or something. Because I had to self-isolate in November, and I'm a student. Yes, I work. I'm not on benefits, and it is very tight living as a student. And to be
Bloody
honest,
students.
I know.
I am also a student, so I understand the
Bloody
struggles.
students.
Yeah, I'm a student, but I just live at home.
All these students on my TV show, this is outrageous. Go out and get a
Your
proper
TV
job.
show.
But this money that you get for self-isolating, I could have done with that so much, because I had to ask my family for money, and my family aren't that well off, and it's like we're asking people to stop working, and for those of us who aren't on benefits, who are barely getting by ourselves, we're being asked to stop working and stop being able to earn that money that can pay for things like rent, pay for bills, pay for food. So I'm just thinking, if this £500 for once you test positive for COVID, is there any criteria you have to meet? Because if you have COVID, obviously you have to isolate and stuff.
I think that's what they're discussing. I think lots of people just jumped on the bandwagon and presumed it's just what they consider benefit scroungers who get the money. But it's like, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and the average wage in the UK is something like £29,000 a year. but like 50% of the country don't earn that. You know, they live below the average wage because it's all these people in high-flying CEO jobs or bankers that inflate the average living wage. So there are all these people actually living in poverty. I mean, I'm going on a rant now. I actually saw some stuff earlier in the week that like what they class as living in poverty is if you earn below like £18,000. And but the minimum wage a year is about £16,000. And if you earn below the minimum wage, that's abject poverty. So it's like there's millions of families out there who, because bear in mind, I mean, I had COVID over Christmas, but I actually had it for like 3 weeks because I went and got tested again. Now I didn't have symptoms, but I still went and got tested again on the last time, but I found out, I've still got COVID. Am I still infectious? If I hadn't gone and tested, I just presumed after 10 days I was clear. Could I have gone and killed my grandparents? You know, but for that time period, you know, if I had that 500 quid, the stress would have just gone, would have gone, would it have been no longer there? So. Just got Richard commenting. He says, "Is a lot of money." Well, I don't know. Is it? How much is the price of fish? And not a free to talk TV show without James ranting. Yes, yes,
yes,
yes. So Nell, what's your thoughts on it?
I agree with Parker again, because is there a criteria you have to meet? And, you know, as harsh as it's going to sound, I'm not very great with wording things, but are there going to be people who will go out on purpose and go out and,
yes.
you know, but I also agree with what you're saying, you know, £93 a week realistically is not a lot to live on, especially when you're having to, in the middle of winter as well, you're having to heat the home. You're going to have to like cook a lot more because you're home more. You're buying more foods. You have to, if you have a bigger family as well, you know, quite a lot. In the UK, we do have quite a lot of big families, and that's just, you know, general knowledge without even having to look at figures and facts and stuff. So if you've got an average household of 4 people, you're having to feed them, like water them, heat the house, electric, all those, especially if you have younger children, you're going to need to keep them entertained. £93 is not going to get you very far.
No.
Even actually as a single person living on your own, £93 a week is not a lot of money.
Also, to add to that average family, because now we've got modernity in place, you know, we've got a pandemic and you need internet access to educate your children and access to the equipment. If only there were some politicians that talked about free internet access a few years ago.
Oh, I wonder.
No, I get what you're saying there, but I mean, the criteria, yes, needs to be discussed. But I think there's lots of people that have jumped on this and gone, I believe this to be true. I believe there's going to be millions of people taking the mickey out of this and taking all this money from me. That's their opinion. But it's like when you had benefits fraud brought up like a few years ago, and people like benefit scroungers, they accounted for like 0.0000002% of the benefits budget. You know, out of like a few million people that were on benefits. But also bear in mind that pensions count as a benefit when they do the figures, which shouldn't be the case. But you know, it's just it's a tiny amount. It's just
sorry to interrupt you. I was sort of going to jump in there quickly because we were discussing this discussing poverty in uni last week. Because the course I am doing is youth and community work. So we were discussing poverty in one of the modules that we're doing, and I think actually one of the biggest problems we have in the UK is tax avoidance. And actually benefit fraud is like on the very, 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 like, it's very low on the list. So actually people who are complaining about, you know, benefit fraud and stuff like that actually are probably the people who are avoiding their taxes. But I'm not going to get into that because I'll probably rant like James.
Well, we can save that rant for this time next week about tax avoidance. I mean, you just got to take Amazon as an example, and you know, all the world's richest billionaires have got richer through the pandemic because That's what. And then we've got the right wing organisations and Tories telling us, well, it's just a matter about working harder. No, I think it's got something to do with the massive house your parents gave you. But anyway, we've come to the end of our time. So, but thank you ever so much, Nell, for coming on. This has been
Thank
amazing.
you for having me. I didn't even realise the time. It's gone so quickly. I've had so much fun.
So I've got a couple of other people from other organisations lined up. But if you do want to come on again,
if you'll have me, definitely.
Definitely. And we can put the world to rights, one youth worker at a time.
Definitely, yes.
Is that going to be the new motto?
No, the new motto is James for Prime Minister.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I like that one. I didn't want.
We'll all get matching T-shirts.
Yes, that's a great idea. Yes. Right, so we're going to finish this how we normally finish it. So now what we do is we just say something really nice or cool that we've had happen to us this week. So Parker, you first.
I submitted my assignment that took me 3 days straight to complete.
Woohoo!
Yay!
Yes.
Sounds amazing. So
But
lots
it
of
was very
hard tasks.
stressful.
What was the assignment on?
Empowering approaches in youth work.
Wicked.
Oh wow! Okay.
Ooh, that's good.
Cool. Right,
A lot
Owen.
of research.
Do you want to do my homework for me?
I got enough on my plate.
Same.
Owen, go for it.
I merely just was able to learn some lines over this week, and I've managed to learn them in such a short period of time, because usually line learning takes me a little bit longer than usual because I do struggle with a lot of difficult words, and this monologue that I'm learning is Shakespearean, so having to learn Shakespearean language is very difficult. So I managed to learn that in a week and get it recorded and sent to my teacher in plenty of time for him to look at it, mark it, and get it ready for Monday.
Well done.
Cool. Well done. Now,
it's going to sound really, really cheesy, but I think coming on here is probably one of the positive things I've done this week. Honestly, I'm usually really, really awkward, quite shy. I was really worried about. I'm awful at wording things, and I'm awful at accidentally offending people.
You've been really
without the intention. So
I'll put my hand up to say I'm just the same now. I am just the same. You get very. Whereas you think I talk the way I do talk, I have to slow down and just think before I speak.
Yes. So,
yes.
Thank you very
Owen,
much.
You've come an amazing long way, Owen, and now you've been brilliant. To be honest
Thank
today.
you.
So I'm just going to bring up. So Richard in the chat. His most exciting thing was watching a war go down in Minecraft on Wednesday, which made him cry. Wow.
Yeah. Did you watch that after watching us play Squadrons?
No, I was just too tired and.
No, I was asking Richard.
Oh, Richard.
I'm asking Richard, who's watching right now. Did you watch that after we watched Squadrons on our Twitch channel? Free2talk Gaming.
Oh, and Free2talk Gaming. Oh, what? The one we Twitch on 3 days a week? That one?
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Parker, have you heard of Free2talk Gaming on Twitch?
I think I have. I think it's come up on Twitch just a little bit.
I've heard it's pretty good, isn't it? Now it's pretty good, isn't it? Yeah, Free2talk Gaming. Yeah. Another little plug there. We have Free2talk Gaming on Twitch. We've got Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. There's something going on. There is a schedule on there, so please come and just say hi and give us a follow. Our average viewer count is going up. We've got someone following us who is in Wales. Her name's Snugsy. It's a mum from Wales, which came onto the stream a couple of weeks ago and just started having a conversation, which was lovely. So she came back and said hi. But my fun thing. Here we go, Richard. Thanks, Richard.
There we go. I just saw it and I was like, yeah, James, just do it.
I've got to point out that Richard. So Richard has been. He's a mod on the Twitch chat. So he was in the background and he did this for me. He was like adding all the socials. So if he clicks a button, it says Free2talk Gaming on Facebook and blah blah blah. And he asked me if he could get rid of some of the swear words. And I went, yeah, of course you can. Now the thing is, when you've got Twitch chat and the moderator chat, and you have to block these swear words in the moderator chat. Now, because he was doing it over and over again for loads of different swear words he could think of, he may have accidentally written a swear word in the normal chat. so I'm talking live on the chat, and then with this lady Snugsy, and in the middle of the conversation, Richard just basically writes a swear word. which which was brilliant. And I think if I was drinking tea at that point in time, I would have spat it out because it was that funny. But anyway, so my fun thing. Well, actually, I've got two. Can I have two?
Yeah, you can have two.
Yeah.
I'll allow that.
I've got the first one that's been work related. So I've been having loads of like meetings like with Nell, but other youth workers from Huddersfield, other ones local to Northampton, like coming to me to ask about the gaming and what we do, and trying to get some more information and doing some collaboration. Hopefully, what we can all do as a youth work team, where it doesn't matter where we are. And it's just been cool. I've just really enjoyed it. I just like talking to people because I haven't been out of the house in 87 years.
Are you really that old?
Yes,
Jeez.
I am. But my second favourite thing was I tell a lie about not being out of the house. So I went for a walk with my partner. I think it was Tuesday. Nice and muddy as we're walking around. I went around the park, and basically I found out I can talk to squirrels. And I know this sounds weird. So in the local parks in Northampton, like I'll just walk around. There's loads of squirrels, and I'll just go like that, and the squirrels will come over. Like all of them. I'm like the Pied Piper of Northampton, but for squirrels.
It's like the scene in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory when all the squirrels come
Yeah,
and
it's like that.
it is, honestly. Come and they tap her head.
And Tuesday, like this, I mean, no word of a lie. This squirrel was like 3 foot away, just looking at me, going, "Are you going to give me some food or what, Baldy?" All right, mate.
They are really like aggressive squirrels, aren't they? They just want to square up all the time.
I've got to be honest, they're from Northampton. So some of the parks aren't the nicest. No, I just think it's squirrels generally. I think once they get used to humans, they just get a bit aggressive. Because there was a story a few years ago of a squirrel in a park that was attacking people because it kept eating cigarette butts that had been thrown away, and it was addicted to nicotine and it made it more aggressive.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So don't smoke, kids. There you go.
Don't.
Right. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you for everyone watching. Give us a like. Give us a share. Just come and say hello for next time. But we're going to end the broadcast there. Now, I'll end the broadcast, but we still stay. We can say thank you to each other and have a little chat at the end. But everyone say bye to the stream.
Bye, guys.
Bye, stream.